this is the property line right here. And you have a property on this person's property. You have this person's property on this person's property, right?
Welcome to my channel, Clark the Realtor. Don't forget to subscribe and let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Devon Clark, or Clark the Realtor. Today we will be discussing why it's important to get a survey done in the state of Georgia when purchasing a home or even land. Before we get into the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like, share, and hit that notification bell to be alerted when new videos get uploaded to the channel. And let's jump into it. We're going to dive into why it's always important to have a survey done. I understand surveys can be very pricey nowadays, and what we're seeing that it's going to happen going forward in real estate come 2024 and beyond, it is going to get more pricier for a home buyer or a person trying to buy land in regards to getting everything done from home inspections, survey inspections, and different things. Like possibly if you're using a realtor, if you might have to pay the realtor fees, and then you have your closing fees. So real estate is going to get a little bit more pricey. So you guys are going to have to stay on it and do your own due diligence properly, right? So let's first read about, we're going to touch on some of the states that still have that caveat emptor saying, which is also buyer beware. And it says right here, while caveat emptor is more dominant in states like Alabama, Arkansas, Georgia, North Dakota, Virginia, and Wyoming, each state has different laws relating to risk, warranty, liability, and misrepresentation in real estate transactions. But let's kind of jump into this right here, where it says just because the state has caveat emptor and it means buyer beware does not mean that the seller doesn't have the right to disclose information. It just tells the buyer that you got to do more in regards to inspecting and discovering any type of other things. So it says right here, in the United States, some jurisdictions still enforce the legal doctrine of caveat emptor or buyer beware in real estate transactions. This means that the burden of inspecting and discovering any potential issues with a property falls upon the buyer. However, again, it doesn't mean that the seller can just misrepresent anything. If they know of anything, they have to disclose it. However, you get some sellers who might not know of anything at all, because say they bought their property 20 years ago, and 20 years ago, everything was all right. The survey was done correctly. However, throughout the years, regulations changed, zoning changed in regards to different laws per se, or ordinances. And because of that house that they bought years back, that survey doesn't comply with what the house is currently, the current house structure. Okay, so let's jump into some things in regards to when it comes to having a survey done. Remember, I'm not a surveyor. You want to reach out to your local surveyor and make sure that surveyor has been doing this for a long time. They have great reviews, any qualifications they need to be a sufficient surveyor. I'm just a realtor that is knowledgeable, so reach out to your surveyor as well. Okay, so these are some terms that comes up when you're doing a survey. So you have impervious surface. So what is an impervious surface? It is a hard surface that prevents or reduces the amount of water that can soak into the ground. They are often artificial structures such as paved roads, parking lots, roofs that are covered by water-resistant materials like concrete, asphalt, brick, or stone. So an impervious surface is basically anything where when water hits it, it bounces off and it doesn't effectively drain, or doesn't effectively go into the soil, into the ground. So that is an impervious surface. So a driveway, a roof, a shed, any rocks, if you have cobblestones in your yard, any type of, let's say you build a basketball court and you put the concrete down, or if you have a deck or any type of thing, that is an impervious surface. And there are restrictions in regards to how far, if you're going to put an impervious surface down, how far the setbacks or type, when it comes to your property, it has to be. So you want to talk to your local surveyor in that particular city and the county and get the correct information in regards to any type of setbacks, as far as how you can lay out your impervious surfaces if you're trying to get anything done to your property. Okay? All right, so here is another definition in regards to when it comes to surveys per se, is land disturbance. So if you guys don't know what land disturbance is, it's a land disturbance is any human-made change to the land's surface that affects the ground or vegetation. So basically it said this can include activities like clearing, grading, excavating, rubbing, cut, fill, and dredging. So basically, if you add anything to the house, if you decide to use an excavator, which is the crane thing that kind of goes down into the dirt, picks it up, and then throws the dirt. If you decide to do any type of big changes like that, that is land disturbance. So say if you want to put certain things in, you need to make sure you're putting it on your property lines. You need to understand where your property lines is at and different type of things. And you got to get permitting for all this type of stuff for land disturbance. So say if you went and bought a house and somebody didn't effectively go down to the city and get a permit issue to, let's say, add an addition to the house. You want to make sure you know that information when buying a home. So you want to make sure they have effectively gotten the permits from the city, and you want to make sure that addition can be there and that it is actually on their proper land too, because you'll see in a minute, some people don't build their things on a proper land down here in Georgia. It's not everybody, it's just some areas. So you just want to be kind of mindful what you're buying, what you're kind of getting into. Okay, so this is the last thing I want to touch on. There's so much more that goes into surveying. Remember, talk to your local surveyor. I am not a surveyor. I am just a realtor that is knowledgeable again. So let's touch on this particular thing in Georgia. So, and it's probably not only in Georgia, it's probably in many states. It's called backyard buffers. So here is, it says protecting habitat and water quality. So let's see what a buffer is. It says a buffer, also called a riparian buffer area or zone, is the strip of natural vegetation along the bank of a stream, lake, or other water body that separates the water from development areas such as lawns, buildings, roads, driveways, etc. Buffers can include grass, shrubs, and trees which hold the soil in place and act as a living filters of population. Without buffers, homes and residential neighborhoods can contribute settlement, fertilizers, pesticides, metals, oil, and other vehicle fluids, pet waste, and many other pollutants to nearby waters. Buffers also help prevent property loss during erosion. So a lot of why buffers are put in place is, of course, to help the habitat, right? The wild habitat. And it's also in place to help us as human beings, because we don't want waste kind of run into the streams and different things like that. And then also when it comes to, like they said, the loss of property because of erosion from any type of, let's say, floods or anything that might happen in the stream when it rains a lot and the water comes up, and it's there to kind of protect you too, as well as the wildlife. Like, what are the perimeters around of a stream buffer or a water buffer in Georgia? Georgia has a number of laws and regulations that apply to buffer zones. So the required minimum buffer width on your property can vary. The Georgia Erosion and Sedimentation Control Act restricts land disturbance and trimming of vegetation within a 25-foot buffer adjacent to creeks, streams, rivers, saltwater marshes, and most lakes and ponds, and within a 50-foot buffer on trout streams. It says homeowners may not cause any significant land disturbance within this buffer without a variance. And we talked about variances before. So that is kind of that setback area when it comes to buffers, as far as how far your property has to be back from said buffer or any type of addition being made to the property. So say if you had a stream that's only 10 feet from your property, well, it's probably going to be a little further back than 10 feet. Let's just say the stream is 25 feet back, right? Because you also have setbacks that the county puts in place too when building a house. So, and it comes from the front, the back, the side. You have different setbacks when it comes to the property and allowing you to the limits as far as building in the property. And when it comes to these stream buffers that came into effect, I believe in 2005, Georgia implemented stream buffers again, for wildlife, but also just for human life, as far as vegetation, water quality, erosion, different things like that. When it comes to, let's say your house, you have a stream that's 25 feet back and you want to add a deck down to your house, you will not be permitted to add such deck to your house. So if you're going to buy a house, you should understand how much the setbacks are. You should make sure there's no stream buffers in the back of the yard. So any type of ditches that are in the back of the yard, outside of just creeks, but if there's any type of ditch in general, I would definitely talk to a surveyor and make sure that it's not a stream buffer. It doesn't allow for water to kind of fill up in it. and different things like that. So you want to understand this, because some people buy homes and they're like, oh, I'm going to put a pool in, oh, I'm going to put a deck in. And then you come to find out when you go to put this in and you go get a permit from the city, they're like, no, you can't do that. So this is some things you want to kind of understand when it comes to buying a house or even buying land in the state of Georgia, all right? And I'm pretty sure if you reach out to your own local surveyor in your state or your city or your county, outside of Georgia, you might find similar type of requirements per se. All right, the reason why, again, I say a survey is important, and it's around this particular scenario that my surveyor just told me about in regards to a person who was buying a piece of land. He had pulled the old survey of the land, and he saw that it was a house built on that land prior. However, the house had been demolished and now it was just a clear piece of land. And because of the new laws and everything, like the stream buffers and different setbacks, he didn't know that he would not be able to build a house on this land. He bought it by pulling that old survey. And that's why I say you always should get an updated survey done to the property, because the old survey sometimes might not have the new regulations on them. And so what happened is that he bought this land for $400,000 with that original survey and the outline of the house on the survey. And he was like, okay, I'm going to build the house here. After him going to go get the permits to build that house there, the city, the county and the city basically told him that he would not be able to build a house or anything on that land, because in regards to the new regulations when it came to setbacks, and that property also having stream buffers on it. And so now he is sitting with a piece of land in 2024, a piece of land that he cannot utilize. Maybe he'll think of something in regards to going forward to do with that land. But as of right now, a piece of land that he cannot build any type of structure on. Okay, so this is another reason why in the state of Georgia, you should get a survey done if you can afford it. Again, talk to the local surveyor, because I am not a surveyor. I am just a realtor who has a wealth of knowledge in regards to real estate. That's all. So I pulled up Fulton County, which is Atlanta, which is Georgia, more of the metro Atlanta area. You have Fulton County. And so as you can see here, this was a subdivision that was built a while back in the early 2000s, I believe. And if you guys don't know, when it comes to subdivisions being built, a builder typically will send out proposed site plans to the city as far as how the land is divided up, what they're going to build on the land. The builders section out the plats, right, of how they're going to build the property and everything like that. But I just want to show you here why, it's a good idea to always try to get a survey done. As you can see right here, you see properties on, this is the property line right here. And you have a property on this person's property. You have this person's property on this person's property, right? So the builder, again, they propose these site plans and they have all these properties. These are all shifted in other people's properties, right? And like in the front over here, you do have some of the properties that are within their property line. So you see this is within its property line. This is within its property line. This is within its property line. So you have these up here, right? That's within their property line. But then you go over here, the property line, they're a little out. And then you go around the corner, these are all out of whack. All these properties are other people's properties. So let's say one day this person decides, oh, hey, I'm going to go get a survey done because I want to build a fence in my backyard. Then that surveyor comes out, they look at, their plat, and they say, ma'am or sir, do you know that your property is on somebody else's yard or somebody else's property is in your yard? And then it becomes a big situation, right? With the homeowner next door with you, and this is my property, that's my property, blah, blah. So it's always great, again, to get a survey done. So I just want to touch a little bit about the importance of getting a survey done, a home inspection done, and any other inspection done in the state of Georgia, because this is a buyer beware state. Nonetheless, I'm glad you guys came to the channel. Hopefully you learned a little bit and why it's important to get a survey done in the state of Georgia when it comes to purchasing land or a home. And again, I'm not a surveyor, so please reach out to your local surveyor to get a survey done and also ask them in-depth questions along the lines of what we talked about today. And this might not only pertain to the state of Georgia, it might pertain to your state as well. You should always be knowledgeable of any new ordinances or regulations or things that are happening in your state in regards to you purchasing a house, because this is one of the biggest purchases you will possibly make in your lifetime. Again, thank you for coming to the channel. My name is Devon Clark, or Clark the Realtor. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like, share, and put your notifications on to be alerted when new videos get uploaded to the channel. And if you want to reach me at any time, my email is below, dclarktherealtor@gmail.com. I look forward to hearing from you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.